I've been watching a lot of Drawfee and Prickly Alpaca, so I've decided to do a random character design. I haven't done one of these before, but I found some of the best webs I can to get the clothing, colours, profile of the character, stuff like that. I'm thinking I'm going to be making a villain, maybe for my character, Thana Callisto. If you're interested in that character, you can go to our social medias, especially our Instagram or even our website, infernumcomics.com, since a lot of the art for her is there. And I have listed all the websites I'm going to be using down below. So if you do use any of them, make sure to tag Infernum Comics in them. And let's get started. I'm actually going to be starting with random animals, since on one of the, I believe the name generator, it asks for a random animal. And this might be fun to come up with certain aspects or silhouette, that sort of thing with the character. So we're not going to use an octopus or a dingo. So let's rerun this. An antelope and a tiger, okay. Now that's interesting. They're quite opposite in both design and personality, but that may work for a villain. Maybe we'll take like the antelopes for a headpiece, but then the stripes from the tiger. Okay. So what I'll be doing after this, I'll go through all of them, all these websites, have a sort of idea for what the character will be, and then I'll make stuff like a mood board, and then go into straight away into sketching. And apparently I'll be sketching an antelope and a tiger. It may be worth drawing both of these out first before, just to get an initial grasp on what I'll be designing. But sure, so antelope or tiger, let's use tiger for this. Since when we go to name your villain, says how many examples, let's change that to 3. Gender, female, that works. It's already there. Usually I would pick both, but I'll put female for now. An adjective to describe your villain. Let's take it from the tiger, fierce. See if that works. And then what animal is your villain most likely like? Let's put tiger. There you go. Birth year it will be set in my sci-fi world, so that doesn't truly matter. How would you describe his/her nationality? Yet again, sci-fi world of my own creation, so it doesn't truly matter. Popularity, let's just bump these up a little. I'm not going to go through these. Begins with this, like I don't truly matter. And there you go. Let's write some villain names. Okay, so we definitely won't be using their AKA Fierce Tiger. That won't be their character's name. But Libby Yates, Beatrice Mueller, Mia Mendoza. Okay, so what I'll be doing, I'll usually be taking 3 aspects of all of these things. For the animals, I just did 2 because I thought it'd be easier. So currently, none of these names are jumping out to me, but I may mix and match later. Let's see. So let's just take this. Beatrice Mueller. I'm drawn to more this one first, so I'll take this one just in case we need it. Quick character generation, sex, I'll put for random. Age range, random as well, so it doesn't truly matter. Hopefully this will give us a profile for the character. I also have another profile website that I'll be using, so I'll sort of merge them as I go along. Let's have a look. Let's generate. Wilberforce Leach. Now that's a name. Female, yet again. Ooh, or non-binary, that works. 67, so maybe an older character. 5'11", tall with golden brown skin. Very passive-aggressive feel about them. They have brown eyes and short. Okay. Now some of these will give some stuff about her, apparently her appearance. So let's use some of them. Personality, loving, self-critical, responsible, rude and discreet. We could take some of these, or maybe we'll take all of them, and loving is sort of her quirk of a villain. Upper middle class, C-grade student, engaged, heterosexual. Okay, so a straight engaged person. I don't think in all of my characters I have anyone who's even married, so that works. Graphic designer. That's not really giving us why the character would be a villain, but that works. Financial, atheist, realist. There is no such thing as a master race. Well, that's fair enough. It's a man's world. That's interesting for a female character to have that belief, especially in the future, as this setting's going to be. I always have patience with the young and the old. That's an interesting villainous character trait. This country makes me sick. Ooh, so sort of unloyalist. Let's have a look. War is necessary. Interesting, especially in my sci-fi world setting. There is currently a war going on, so that could be interesting. Physical health, no notable issues. Sure. quirks, sleep talk, likes. Apparently she doesn't like anything or dislike anything. Afraid of confined spaces. Okay. Self-satisfaction, 38. Okay. Antisocial behavior. Perfect. Light green, likes death metal. Could definitely do something with both of these. Perfect. Okay, so we've got some aspects of a character which I could go off, but let's quickly go to this generator as well. So a few keywords. I believe even if you put a few keywords in here, it will just auto correct that to the name. So let's put Beatrice Mueller. There you go. So that's going to be a name. Age. What did it say on this one? It said, oh, not this page, 67. Okay. Let's put that in then. 67. Social class. It was like upper class. Education was, let's double check. C grade student, so I'll take that as maybe high school education. An adjective to describe a positive aspect of the character. Let's have a look. So on the other one it was loving. So like I said, these are going to be down below in the description, so definitely use them like I am now. That'd be great to see other people's designs. An adjective to describe a negative aspect of the character's personality. Let's go back to this. Let's just take rude. Let's see what it comes up with then. Rude. Optional, and finally what your don't matter, let's just make a profile. Let's have a look. Now this lengthy profile, 67, town councillor, enjoys yoga, flower arranging, cycling. She's loving and reliable, but can also be very rude and a bit grumpy. She is pretty sure to find herself as bisexual. Now that is definitely clashing with the heterosexual, but bisexual is always more interesting. She finished school and then left academia. She's a vegetarian. She has a severe phobia of flying. Physically, Beatrice is not in great shape. She needs to lose quite a lot of weight. She's very short with chocolate skin, blonde hair and brown eyes. She grew up in an upper-class neighborhood. She was raised by her father. She's currently married to... Ooh, and it even gives the person she's either married to or engaged to. Sure, Beatrice's best friend is an... Oh, even gives a name. Perfect. Nickname Rude Beatrice. Oh, that's original. Ooh, it's even given us a surname for that. So maybe it's BMG. Okay, Beatrice Griffiths. That could work. Reason for the nickname description. So it's not that she is rude, it's that her personality is rude. Or scratch that the other way around. Yeah, that's not going to matter. Capricorn, British, upper class, agnostic, bisexual. Okay. Very short, very overweight. Now, the overweight is interesting, as I don't typically have characters with that description, but that could definitely work. Face shape, heart shape. Glasses, discrimination marks, none, clipped. Overweight. Okay. Now this is just a lot of words and I probably won't use much of that at all. Moral, sometimes stable, sometimes loyal, very generous, sometimes extrovert, not at all. That'd be interesting to have an almost introvert villain. That could work. Compassionate, very, yoga, this will matter, phobia, flying or claustrophobia, which is more interesting. Vegetarian, that could work. Employment. This may help on some aspects, because what I'll probably do is also write a profile for her, like a proper put together profile for a final character design. I'll make sure that I put that on all of our social medias as well, and link that in the video description probably. Years, grew up wealthy. Now this is interesting. Okay, very pro, that makes sense. Healthcare, very against, control, undecided. Okay, so there's two profiles for the same character. Some of them are contrasting, but I can definitely merge them later on. Now, this is a color scheme generator. What I'll do... So this is just the current one. I'll redo this now, see what comes up. It's a very red color scheme, or a warmer spectrum. Now, what you can do on this website, which is great, you can lock colors. So what colors am I feeling currently? I really like in this color because it's not red. So I'll lock that into place. And for now, let's lock this burgundy as well, and then you can sort of do it on others. Now that's very interesting, sort of purpley. I really like this colour. Let's do that. So I'm just creating a colour scheme that could work. Blonde, that could be here, because in one of the profiles it did say blonde here, so we sort of pale blonde. And let's get the final colour. Charcoal, these two look nice together. Sure, perfect. So there's the colour schemes. Now what I'll do, clothing. So this probably won't be exactly to what I'll do in the final design, but I definitely do this for some inspiration. LOVECORE clothing, dress for full with hot pants and a crop top, short socks and mismatched shoes. Half face mask, now that's interesting, bow tie scarf, is a little bit out there, especially the crop top on an overweight body figure may be interesting. LOVECORE, why not while we're here? I'll see what that is. So that's LOVECORE. Let's have a look. LOVECORE aesthetic. So sort of pinky, which that may work with burgundy and this colour. And this is, I can maybe push this more towards the pink scale. LOVECORE, there's hats, there's... Okay, that's good inspiration. Let's have a look now. Where will be clothing? Hot pants. Okay, that may be interesting. Now these are going to be 3 pictures. Currently we got cupcakes, dogs, this house, which is interesting. Let's have a look. 3 random pictures. Ooh. Now that's very different to what a profile says. So it's got like an abandoned house, which that could add to a history possibly. This screw boot. Maybe person sets traps. I'm just trying to show how my brain's currently thinking, trying to pitch an idea. And what's this? Yet again, the idea of maybe construction. This big boot. Plans. Could link to the vegetarian. And then this might all be interesting. So this is more going to be inspiration, maybe visual context, or even inspiration for the history in the past. Let's have a look. Now this is quite random, but it's 3 emojis. I've actually used this on one of my characters before, which I may talk about later. And it worked quite successfully there, so let's do it again. So I'll do 3 emojis, let's see. So horse, square, which I'll already do that one, and then what looks like a police car. So I'll do one, and let's replace the square. So police car, horse, that may be interesting. Maybe add that to the antelope scheme. Let's have a look. What's the block? I believe that might be the Jewish star. Let's do that again just in case. Just an X. Okay, that could be sort of an aesthetic piece, but that's more tech weird than LOVECORE. But sure, we can make it work, hopefully. And then this is just a power generator. She's probably not going to have like superpowers, but this may be able to help define something that she's good at. Let's have a look. So I'll do 1 physical, 1 mental, and 1... Let's have a look. Super skilled. Let's see. Amount of powers. Modest. Sure. Detail level. Detailed. Sure. Let's generate. Okay. Power 1. Superhuman. Improved regeneration. Rapidly recovering or healing or hidden strength. That may be interesting. She may be more of like a kingpin type, where she looks overweight, but then you actually go to face her, and she's actually quite strong. Quantum calculator, perform mental calculations at inhuman speed. Interesting. Super skilled assassin skill set. Numerous abilities that naturally form. Faceless always uses fake identities and personas. With no trouble, no one knows your true identity. That's interesting. Okay, so there you go. There's profile, colours, some aspects, so I've got a lot to think about, so let me get started on that. I started off by collecting all those randomly generated prompts all into one document, just make it easier when I come to actually make the character. And speaking of, I definitely spent at least an hour going through Pinterest trying to find reference images for both tiger related themes, definitely LOVECORE aesthetic, the outfit,
I also looked into things like how to have horns on a character, because maybe for the antelope idea I could go down that path. Nothing that I seem truly attached to at this point, but it was just easier so that when I come to the character, I'm not just staring at a blank screen. Also maybe had some hints towards tattoos for the death metal aspects and some cloaks. The cloaks were mainly because I didn't know if the crop top and hot pants outfit was going to work on this character, and they definitely did come in handy later. So let's get started on the design. I made sure to have some reference on my screen, as you can see, just some stuff that hint towards what I would like the outfit to look like in some aspects, some reference for the character itself, and definitely for the LOVECORE aesthetic. I already did some sketches beforehand, making sure to keep the idea of them being overweight, incredibly bubbly, with especially a very interesting outfit of a crop top, hot pants, LOVECORE style, which I've got to say I'm not very used to drawing, but by the end of this I'm definitely happy with the character. But make sure to remember that this isn't me using the random character aspects and sticking to them as a solid rule. This is more of using it as influence and changing certain things into making a workable character. So I'm not going to be using all the colors and all the reference, but let's get straight into the time lapse. I did straight away that because of the image of the boots and the aspects of construction, I could try and incorporate that into the design. But what I struggled most with was the crop top and hot pants / like short outfit, especially when I tried to combine both the animal inspiration and the emojis. But I did slowly work through it. I tried everything from tiger stripes to X's and hats to skulls to pretty much covering the character in hats at certain points. Some of the stuff I liked, like the hat and X logo sort of worked, referencing like the emoji and the LOVECORE aesthetic, but it was real difficult. The LOVECORE aesthetic not being my forte didn't help either, but I definitely had gotten a face that I was happy with, as the idea of a loving and caring stalkerish character came to mind. I will definitely get into a character in history later, but this sort of cracked smile with these big wide open eyes with this hair piece that sort of covered half the face, so instead of a half mask it was the hair. It also worked to make a sort of creepy character. And this is the point where I decided to start layering clothing. If I couldn't get the crop top and like shorts to work, maybe if I pile clothes on top of that and had them as the underclothing, that would work instead. And then I definitely tried to test tiger striped tights. Maybe it could have worked if I grabbed more reference for more specific items of clothing that I was working for. And then this is the part where I started going insane. Experimenting in masks, experimenting in scarves, anything I could just to try and make the design work. Especially with the colours, I knew that not all the colours I grabbed were actually going to be able to be used. Definitely the blonde for the hair, but if I wanted that LOVECORE aesthetic, I was definitely going to have to only use them as influence. I wasn't feeling the gloves either, but I'm definitely working my way towards a colour scheme I like, even though I do go through some pretty garish versions first. I'm definitely making the spell slowly more creepy over time, with the eyes even more bugging out. But the one thing I did know when I was doing the colour scheme, that the blonde hair really worked, and deciding upon a sort of palish dark skin colour just to sort of make those LOVECORE colours pop even more. I ended up on a lot of pinks and dark reds, which definitely worked for the aesthetic that was chosen for this character. But I do eventually keep the dark blue as both her boots and her soon-to-be underclothing. I ended up with this kind of 3-layered piece of her outfit, so a sort of poncho-esque with a poncho-esque item with a hood, a cloak that goes over the top of that, with all underneath being this sort of, I don't know how to describe it, almost be like sort of flowing hoodie with big wizard sleeves. I don't exactly know. And then I was so inspired by the reference on the right of the bow tie with the little hat that I gave her one on her ankle, after I realised that in the randomly generated prompts a bow tie was actually a part of her design. So the crop top and shorts remain with the design, but under the layers of the clothing, as well as keeping her secret. Her secret being that, due to the death metal inclusion that was in the randomly generated prompts, I actually came up with the idea of her having tattoos that relate to a more darker side of this character. After realizing that she's going to be a villain, like I wanted, but in a stalker manner, I came up with these tattoos underneath the skin. So except from the tiger stripes and mane of hair, the animal inspiration can all be seen under the cloak. Tiger, antelope and horse skull merged into one on her shoulder, to then a horse antelope sort of crossbreed across her thigh, making sure in the final piece to have them all curved to her body. These tattoos will inevitably link to her history, her past, her motives. It was actually quite fun to get onto the tattoos, because after working with these flowy cloaks and an aesthetic I'm not really used to then draw upon more horror and dark aesthetics and moods sort of work together. So I wanted these tattoos that reached across her entire body, and you will see later that they actually wrap around onto her back. Now here's the huge aspect to her character. She's smart, loving and strong, but the thing that controls her actions is her stalking, creepy nature when it comes to the Guild, a team of highly skilled characters from my original world of Ronin 6. They protect the district that this character comes from. If you follow us on Instagram, you've no doubt seen the Guild, especially Thana Callisto, my main OC, a scientist on the verge of death, using a sort of venom-like suit to keep her going through life. So make sure to follow us on Instagram to learn more about her and the world. On our Instagram, you get to see a lot of the characters, which this character unfortunately does stalk. But she is mostly obsessed with Thana and Dr. Grant, two scientists that inspired her and became almost heroes or celebrities in her mind. She's not insane, just an aspect of her personality that has become obsessed with almost addicted to viewing and experience the Guild. To convey her stalking, I was thinking about giving her cameras, merch or photos, but instead I decided to use each character's iconography as her tattoos, characters' logos on the back and helmets on, and logos on the front, with skeleton Thana and Dr. Grant across her forearms, which all these tattoos covered up, meaning she can hide or blend in as just a small happy woman until she sees a guild member and her smile cracks, and in a moment of excitement you see a glimpse of her creepy tattoos, dedicated to people that are aware of her but have all agreed to sort of ignore her and combat her. On her back, the helmets are entwined in these branches, but because I've written the past of these guild members and characters, all mass designs are represented, as well as old guild members, as she would have experienced all of them throughout the many years. I made sure to try and blend these tattoos well within her body, as if I didn't do that they would sort of look out of place, but it's definitely interesting to compare what this character looks like under all of those bubbly pink outfit, and then you see all the tattoos underneath and what she's really like. Going on to create a semi-character turnaround, showing both of her outfits, deciding to have hats and X's across her back and with branches sort of woven through it, just because I thought the back of the cloak looked pretty plain, and to make the character visually interesting on both sides, especially compared to her tattooed version, where there's definitely a lot you can look at on which either side of the character you're looking at. And there you go, that's my semi-villain character, Beatrice Yates. So now I'm going to get into her character, then I'll wrap up, but if you're just here for me designing it, that's not a problem. Make sure to subscribe, as I've got plenty of new art videos coming up that I'm working on, especially more just quick character designs, a lot like this. But here we go. Beatrice Yates, born to a middle-class family in the bustling district of Exie, an overpopulated and drugged-up place without law. After acing her classes, she headed towards becoming an architect, inspired by her father. After she is freelanced to design an extension to her apartment, she meets Lena May, an upcoming street counsellor. They slowly bond over their love for animals and death metal, spending a lot of their nights together prepping the apartment, Lena rolling up her blazer in order to work on the electrics coming from a long line of electricity. Years later, the apartment is finished and they are happily engaged. The mayor of XC invites them into their personal hovercraft to view the grand opening. Beatrice's fear of flying took over. In a moment of panic, she causes the craft to fall, smashing through the apartment. Beatrice getting flung out, the craft regains control, but Beatrice hangs off of the building, only to be saved by 3 masked people. Within a day, Beatrice's reputation, confidence and body was broken. She spent her recovery investigating and going undercover to discover who these 3 were, becoming obsessed like an old-timey detective. Getting nowhere and leaving her job behind, Lena still loves her and wishes that she could recover, but it only got worse the day the mayor revealed XC's new task force, consisting of 3 leads, Kingpin, Queenie and Alchemist, as well as a dozen armoured guards, nicknamed the Guild. She immediately put 2 and 2 together, tried to join only to discover that all this time she spent obsessing, she gave up on her vegetarian ways and pigged out, becoming too unhealthy to join. As she watched the Guild evolve into the strong security force of XC, full of colourful characters, she only became more enfranchised with people like Thaner and Dr. Grant, newcomers to the Guild. Still loving her wife, but she now relies on Lena to care for her, especially when she became a builder using her skills in architecture to in fact set up traps and disasters to lure the Guild in just to meet them. Lena covers for her constantly while pleading with her to leave the obsession behind and go to therapy. Age 47, she's still attempting to contact the Guild, now hiding within crowds covered in these tattoos that embody her darkest desires. Now, even though I stumbled over my words a lot, I hope you enjoyed the process of me creating this character. There you go. And it's not a character that I would normally come up with, and I'm really glad that I used randomly generated prompts, and I think I was actually quite successful in it. If you disagree, be sure to let me know. It's a character that I never would have thought of, never would have used these sort of colours or these aesthetics, but I think it represents how random ideas can come together to form a quite unique character. I've never seen a character quite like this. If you have, please be sure to let me know to see if I've been inspired by anything accidentally. I'll be doing plenty more quick character designs, so make sure to subscribe and definitely go to our Instagram, Infernum Comics, to keep up to date with this world and the characters that inhabit it. And don't forget to check out our bi-weekly webcomic, our articles and free comics that are all available on infernumcomics.com. I hope you found this video helpful for character design. Stick around and I'll see you later.